Welcome to Consumer Adventures. My name is Giorgio Pasqualetto, and in this podcast, I bring you behind the scenes of emerging challenger consumer brands. Today with me, I have Anna Szymanowska here on the show. Anna is the founder at Fighter Shots, the all-natural daily energy shots that help boost immunity, reduce fatigue, and improve overall well-being. So without further ado, welcome, Hannah. How are you? So nice to have you here.
Hi, Georgia, and I'm very glad to be here with you today.
Amazing. So I would like to start a little bit with an introduction of your company, so Fighter Shots. Obviously, we will have time, to dig deeper as we go on different aspects. But maybe you could tell us a bit more about the product itself. So what are the most important features and what is that your customers really love about it?
Sure. So I think you have made a great introduction already. We indeed do health drinks, ginger-based health drinks. They are manufactured here in the UK. What we are very proud of are the glass bottles, which we believe are so much better than plastic ones. And we are also very proud of having really the best quality ingredients, organic juices. We also are the first company in the UK to introduce Manuka honey shots, which is really the best quality honey you can find. And yeah, this is what we believe, our clients love the most.
That sounds amazing. I'm curious actually about the name. How did you choose Fighter Shot, and was it an easy choice or?
Yeah. So first of all, we wanted, a name that was powerful. So we thought and also kind of, that immediately, makes you understand what the product is about. And then it's obviously, I guess every, one who is starting a business, you kind of always think it's important that the domain, of your business is available. Yeah. So we then checked, okay, Fighter Shots, both .com and .co.uk are available. So it made it kind of easier, I think.
Oh, no, that's great. Yes.
We have then obviously, tested the name as well with people and, potential clients, friends, as you always do, friends and family. And yeah, everyone kind of was, accepting it very positive. And also as we first, decided on the name, which to be honest, weren't kind of, too hooked up on it, and thought okay, if, people just can't either pronounce it or kind of, are confused, we can always, change it. But luckily, the response has been always very good. We kind of see, that people refer to our shots as Fighter Shots. So kind of, they remember the name very well. And if anything, we are kind of happier and happier with the name that we have gone for this one and not anything else.
That's awesome. It's definitely a name that sticks, and it's also great because it refers to the company, but also to the shots themselves. About you, so a little bit about your background. Your background is in engineering and energy, and I've seen you have experience in really different industries and also a bit all over the world as well, which is really, really cool. So tell us a bit more about what were you doing before and how your career path eventually brought you to found Fighter Shots.
Sure. So you're right. My first degree is in engineering. I did industrial engineering and then renewable energy. For 5 years, I have worked at Airbus, both Airbus Defence and Space and commercial aircraft. And at the commercial aircraft, I was responsible for delivery of aircraft. So literally, we had to make sure that all of the, parts of the aircraft and, of the cabin that kind of, was very highly customizable were on time for production. And to be honest, I think it's a very translatable skill because right now at Fighter Shots, we obviously, we produce our product. We are not just resellers. We are actually, manufacturing it. And we are exactly, responsible for the same thing. So making sure that all of our supplies, the bottle, the caps, the labels, all of the ingredients that are coming from different suppliers, they are on time, on quality, with our manufacturer. So to be honest, it's not kind of this far, if it comes to my background and what I do right now. So definitely, this experience previously has helped me kind of understand, how supply chain works. And yeah, I'm very happy that what I do right now kind of feels, it's a continuation of what I've been doing before.
Now, that's very interesting. The engineering background that comes in handy in something completely different. I'm also very interested in the early days of the company. So how did the idea for this company come about?
Yeah. So basically, yes, I always kind of wanted, to run a business, but as it is, like, I guess many people want to do it, but like they don't have the idea. And so was it with me. Already when I was with Airbus, I kind of, always was thinking like, what else can I do? And it wasn't easy. I wasn't there was no like kind of, I would say, where I was, there was no right environment, I believe, to kind of, be very entrepreneurial. I need to like move, to a city like London and, also study business to kind of understand better, like, what does it really take? Because when you're in a big company, you just kind of do one thing, and kind of, I felt at least like that, like I don't have no understanding of like, the rest. So I wanted to study business with kind of, have with the plan to one day, start maybe something. But again, you wouldn't know what it is, right? You kind of have to kind of patiently wait, until something, clicks and makes sense. And so for 2 years, I was doing MBA and also kind of, thinking about different ideas, which, I didn't have immediately. So I worked, for different startups. I also like took a role at Microsoft where I was doing sales because I thought like, sales can always help you, whatever you do, you always need to sell the product. So I was very, happy to also have this experience. Then I was doing consulting for a while, which I also kind of thought, makes sense in terms of like one day, running your own business because you kind of see, business models of completely like, different companies. And to be honest, all of this experience somehow kind of made me more confident that like I now understand how like business is run and, what does it really take? And when the idea came, it was that, myself, I was a fan of ginger shots. I just liked them myself, wherever, like, I would be traveling, I always kind of made sure that, like, I buy them early in the morning at the airport and, and have them with me because I did kind of feel, much better when drinking them. I felt like it is indeed like, natural energy that you are getting, and which is not caffeinated. So I just like the product myself. And I just realized it's not available yet everywhere. It's good that it was available in some places. It means that, people are educated enough to know what it is. I also didn't want to kind of bring something completely new to the market because if you do this, then you have also like to educate people. And back then I also didn't have an idea what does it really take, to kind of, start marketing campaign, like how much budget it would cost, like how do you really reach customers? So I didn't know that. And that's why I wouldn't want, to bring something completely new. I just thought, it's great to start with something that already exists on the market, but you can bring it to more places. So when I first, have seen these shots and I was, buying them myself, first of all, I realized, that kind of the margins, are quite decent on these products. And second, that like, they are not available yet in like places like offices. So I thought, the easiest sell would be to an office because they would buy probably higher volumes than just like, selling to individuals one by one. So I thought, if I gain, an office as a customer, I would have like recurrent, sales and quite decent volumes. So kind of, that was when I decided, okay, it makes sense, on paper and I want to try it. I want to, start manufacturing them, selling to offices and see how it goes.
No, totally. That's very interesting. And I really like how you've been, in a sense, preparing yourself even before knowing what you were going to launch. It's really interesting. I would like to go back for a second to the early stages of the company. So once you were researching, how did you go about finding the manufacturers and really starting to manufacture the product?
Basically it's part of the research, finding your manufacturer. So I've been literally just like, Googling bottling companies, obviously checking, like getting, quotes from them, just understanding if it actually, is viable, if that makes sense. So I've literally talked to so many factories. I found one at the beginning in Scotland. They were quite small, but this is good at the beginning because you don't have to commit, to huge numbers. So for like a small run, I think have ordered like maybe 5,000 units. It's literally nothing now when I think about it. Just to see, if people like the product, if I'm actually able to sell it, because I was actually very confident that the product is quite simple, so I'm able to make the product. But then another question was, am I going to sell it? But yes, I ordered these 5,000 units and they literally sold within like 3 weeks. And then and that was enough of traction for me to believe in it. And also I realized I really enjoy it. I realized I can sell it to many more places, such as offices. And that's when I decided this is also going to be something long term. At the beginning I didn't know if it's going to be just like part-time, if maybe I'm going to sell something but just like not enough to sustain myself. I was not 100%. I didn't know at the beginning that this is going to be something I'm going to be full-time on. It was only that I found a manufacturer, I sold the units, and I realized, okay, I think I have some working business model.
Yeah, we've got definitely something in here. And were you alone at this point, or did you already have a team or support from someone?
No, I was lucky. No, that's another thing. I think it's very scary to start something completely on your own. And I'm very grateful that at the beginning I had a classmate who also loved the idea. So I didn't start it on my own. She was supporting me, and then even she took on her husband, who also was advising us. So having this support of other people, which again I believe is vital. Probably without them, I wouldn't think about it seriously. And also, down to, again, all the building blocks I think, I have been thinking of before. So I found them through my network at London Business School. So again, without the MBA, probably I wouldn't, find like-minded people who buy into this idea. Nor if it was in London, I think it would have been much more difficult, because I remember when I was previously in the small place in France, and I had sometimes business ideas, I wanted to bounce them off someone. My friends, they're never were as excited, people would talk about it, but no one would do anything. So it's very different vibe in London. People are so much more, operational and want to try. So these guys, I had at the beginning, they, immediately went into research with me, they helped with the design, they had ideas also where to sell. Unfortunately, for different reasons, split paths after 3 months. But to be honest, I still am very, very grateful, because again, I wouldn't have brought it, I think, this far without them. And already after 3 months, I was confident enough that this works. I already had great feedback. And for them, it was that I think it comes down probably to equity share. So obviously, because it was my idea, we agreed on, more equity share for me. And they realized because they had less, it wouldn't it was not enough income for them to sustain, themselves. And they were very, very, very open about it, and said, look, we can't give it as much time, as you were giving it, just because, we don't have the same share of equity, but no hard feelings. We are happy, to just leave it with you. And yeah, it was very, very mature, to be honest. And I'm, again, very, very grateful, because if we haven't started, probably I wouldn't have started it either.
No, that's amazing. It sounds like they were the right people at the right time.
Yeah.
And after they left, did you then go to look for someone else that maybe had some skills that were complementary to yours? How?
To be honest, no, it was such a good timing with everything. So also this girl, it was her idea to apply to an incubator. So literally, again, without her, wouldn't have, probably applied. I didn't even, it was literally we were a month, in, so we had literally nothing, a website that wasn't working. And, just a few designs, of the label. And she said, like, we should totally apply, for the incubator. And literally, as we first got, even though we got accepted, they said, like, because of, the equity split, they didn't see, like, they can kind of, do this full time. But as they resigned, I was already in the incubator. And so I didn't feel then on my own anymore either, because when you were in the incubator, you're getting a lot of support, like, from school. They give you like a lot of visibility. There were a lot of people, that applied, to work with me. So I had like, a few interns working with me through this incubator. So I didn't have co-founders at that time, but I had enough people supporting.
That sounds great. And your experience at the London Business School incubator is actually one of the elements that I'm very interested in. So I wanted to ask you, what were the opportunities that came out of there for you?
I mean, every incubator is really fantastic because there is so many, right? And of course, like, some have like more prominent names. I can imagine, like, it probably has even more value. But to be honest, any incubator, is fantastic because it always, like, gives you some perks, like, free office, visibility. But most importantly, you are getting to know other founders. And, in the incubator, I met, are like, very close friends until now who, were supporting me, kind of this support that you're receiving. You're seeing like other people going through the kind of, same challenges. And it's just like, very, it feels very nice. And also you learn from others and you just don't feel alone. So yeah, it's literally all I needed, to such an incubator.
Yes, the network, the influence. It sounds great.
Yeah. So I already had the factory and was trying like few online marketplaces, Amazon, stores. And yeah, I kind of saw it was growing. I had already like, a few partnerships. And also the incubator helped me like, with getting some clients. So basically, the professors that run the incubator, they are really very much kind of, involved in every business. So they introduce you to like other alumni who kind of, can help you out. So they introduced me like, to some catering company that would buy my product. They introduced me to like a gym, that would buy my product. So again, they definitely helped a lot with sales.
Sounds amazing. So obviously you started the business in 2019, so
yes.
well before COVID, and when we were all, unaware and happily unaware of what was about to come. But I'm curious, how has COVID impacted your business?
Extremely lucky that at that time I was already listed with Amazon, and Amazon sales just surged so much that like you have to know that like my obviously production sales were still quite low. So I would just sell everything that I had. I was like all the time out of stock because, like where people like were really buying, in bulk. So we'll buy at once, 1 case, 2 cases of shots. It's already a lot, right? Like 12, 24 shots, at a time is a lot. Whereas during the pandemic, people, you remember, like, everywhere, I guess they were getting crazy. And also on Amazon, people were stocking up. So I literally would, like, one customer sometimes would like 10 cases, which again is now like, more than like a whole coffee shop would, use in a month. So I sold so much, literally everything through Amazon. And then actually, had to increase the production. So the issue I had was like, I was calling the factory and trying kind of, to get like, a production, slot as soon as we can. I remember they agreed like on a next one, 2 weeks later, which was fantastic. So I had such a backlog of orders because on Amazon, you can also like, tell people like, okay, this is the next day the product is going to be available. So people would still buy it, it will be available in 2 weeks and people would kind of still pre-order. So there was like so little risk, right? Because I knew that like, I already sold this. I just like now need to ship. It was a little bit of stress, obviously, making sure that like, everything is on time, but luckily it was. So yeah, I actually scaled the production during the pandemic because the orders were just going crazy.
That's amazing. That's a very good problem to have, I would say. Tell us something about the crowdfunding campaign that you went through.
So I also at that time, I had an advisor. So also like throughout the whole time, I also had an advisor literally from day one. I should have mentioned him as well, because obviously he was another kind of, pillar that made me believe in the business, and he very much believed in the business. So I'm also super, super grateful. And he always, like, literally, again, at the beginning, I didn't have much. And from day one, he was saying, like, you have to prepare for Crowdcube campaign. And I was like, with what? I barely have a product, I have a small factory, that might not even cope with the volumes, because I also didn't mention that luckily I switched a factory from one I had in Scotland to one now in London, was literally during the pandemic. So I was able to kind of, produce more. The one in Scotland was doing many things manually, so they wouldn't even cope. They literally had like a limit of 5,000 units a day, and I needed more. So it was kind of also good timing. And my advisor was telling me from the beginning, like, just be ready for like raising money. You'll see you'll need money. And I kind of didn't even think about it, because I was like, I couldn't believe, I'll ever like order bigger volumes. But he was kind of, he actually even introduced me to Crowdcube, because himself, he raised money on Crowdcube before. And he said, like, it's never too early to think about it. So he was pushing me into it. And he actually introduced me to Crowdcube. And Crowdcube also, like, was super supportive. So they actually, immediately scheduled a call with me. And we had this call, and they said, yeah, we think you're ready for raising money. And I was like, really? Like, I didn't know, right? Like I had no experience. So kind of that's how it started. Like my advisor has told me I should talk to them and scheduled a meeting. And I had this meeting, and they said, sure, like whenever, like, you're ready, let us know. We're going to launch a campaign.
That's awesome. And what were the main objectives of the crowdfunding campaign?
Sure. So we had two goals with the campaign. So obviously we did, want to raise money, and Crowdcube, even though obviously you have to have like some investors, that you have found before. So we had that. And some people think, okay, I have already my investors. What do I need Crowdcube for? But we still kind of, didn't want to deal with like, hiring lawyers, and, there is some like work, behind. We kind of, thought we want to do it like the proper way. We knew Crowdcube has great, experience in dealing, with the SCIS, stuff. And we thought that like, people also trust Crowdcube. So I wanted, to kind of make it easier for our investors, just invest via them, although they take, a small fee. But we also, another goal was to raise awareness. So we thought like, it's like a free marketing, or not free because you pay this fee, but kind of, within this fee, you have kind of, marketing in it. And indeed, we, a lot of our investors, and we have 300 investors, are our very loyal customers. So it works really well for a physical product, because people didn't feel, invested in it, right? So they promote your brand, they, just buy it for themselves, for their family. So you do get like, some traction. Again, it's not huge because we just had 300, right? Investors, and not everyone, is obviously buying the product. But I think, we definitely, have some decent amount of sales through the platform. Thanks to the platform.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. If you were to give a piece of advice to a founder starting out, what would you tell them?
I think I'm going to be very generic here. I'm sure like everyone has heard of it already, but it's literally start. Because if you don't start, you can't know. Like if I didn't start, with back then, and ask my classmate, she wouldn't have like introduced me to, the incubator, right? I kind of didn't think myself I can, do it. And also, if I didn't decide to start, the business, I wouldn't have met, at one of the conferences, my advisor, who then told me like, to raise money with Crowdcube, right? Then through, I also didn't say kind of, the story to the end, because literally these were just the beginnings. Through the incubator, I got like, a little bit of visibility, across London Business School. And one of the professors has actually written a case on my company, which was taught in Dubai, because we also have a department there. LBS, is also taught there. And my current co-founder actually has found out about fighter shots because she has heard of it at her lecture. So again, it was all because like, it's kind of steps you can never like, plan ahead. So you can't plan these things. You just have to start and kind of, see which opportunities present, themselves to you.
Absolutely. And in terms of challenges, what would those be?
So these are like, very different challenges at the very beginning that you also have like later. So I'm kind of, I do feel like, now it's like a next phase coming, like we already have, a few things running, but in order to scale, we definitely need like, think very differently about like, cash flows, about like, working capital. So yeah, these are definitely challenges that are ahead. But I don't think you have to worry about them like, too early either. At the beginning, I think what you should worry about is that like, you have a product that first of all economically makes sense. So you'd be surprised that there is a lot of, people that produce, amazing, products, but that are actually very time consuming in terms of preparation. So there is a lot of companies, that like do, let's say cakes. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong and maybe it's a great business, but from my perspective right now, I think it's a very difficult business because you can't just like easily, externalize the production. You probably kind of, want to do it yourself. And if you do like, a product yourself that is very difficult to find manufacturer for, you're very limited on kind of, your time and the quantities you can prepare. So if you are thinking like, of a physical product, again, because there are so many businesses you can be doing. Like, I guess mostly today people want to do tech as well, which obviously this advice is not applying to. But if you want to kind of, do food business, you have to think from the beginning, like, is it scalable? Is there someone that one day, can take over the production so that I can be running other things? I can actually be, selling it and hiring people and doing marketing and stuff. If you start with a difficult product that you actually have to do yourself, you might just kind of limit yourself in terms of scaling.
Totally. These are all very interesting points actually to keep in mind. So thanks a lot for sharing those. Changing a little bit the kind of question, I wanted to ask you, if you had all the time and capital in the world, what would be the one change that you would implement in your business, and why?
So all the capital, I guess we would be a little bit more aggressive, like, on marketing, because if you have capital, you can allow yourself to do it. Now we do it quite organically just because marketing can be very expensive. I think it's the easiest way, to burn money. You can like, hire the best agency, they'll make the best ads, but still there is never a guarantee that actually it will work, right? So obviously that's why we're not doing it. We kind of, do things slowly, kind of, hired right now internal people to, to do these ads for us. And, we kind of are going to try like, step by step, what works. I'm also learning myself, right? Like, how these things work. Like I've never worked in advertising before. So that's why I wouldn't trust myself. Like even if I had like, 10 million, to spend on marketing, I wouldn't even know who to talk to, right? I would probably just go like to one of the, most famous agencies who had like, big clients, because I would just get, okay, I guess they know what they do, but maybe that's not necessarily the case. Maybe, you still kind of have to tell them what to do. And literally, I wouldn't know yet, right? I don't have like this, campaign in my mind, which, I'm like confident enough, to put like so much money behind. So so if I obviously had this money free, I would do it. But for now we are very kind of just careful when it comes to marketing.
Right. And you mentioned that your products are currently obviously on Amazon. What other channels do you sell on?
So we basically sell in 2 countries, in UK and UAE. So almost half of the production now, we send to Dubai. And in Dubai, we mostly sell in retail. So we are in stores and in like independent stores, like chains, throughout the country. And I think also petrol stations. So we sell mostly there, like in retail, whereas in the UK, we concentrate more online. So we obviously sell it via our website, other marketplaces. online marketplaces, also do like partnerships with employee perks companies, which actually is working fantastically as well. We do like, a little discount, and people love discounts. So, they kind of, are more inclined to buy. We also sell, in coffee shops. We are in several, independent coffee shops, and we sell via distributors. But to be honest, we don't even know where that goes, because if you're selling, to kind of, a wholesaler, then they just, buy, which is great. To be honest, it's fantastic, because they generate volumes, but I don't even know, which places then it ends up. Then I just like learn from, friends, or like Instagram, someone like, is tagging us in some shop. I just wouldn't know, that it's being sold there. So I can't tell you names. It's just, random shops, I guess, across the UK. You can find the product that is being sold there via distributors.
That's very interesting. So you're using two different channels depending on the market you're in. I have one last question, Anna. So what is the most inspiring thing that you came across running Fighter Shots?
Most inspiring, I think it's always other people. When you talk, to other founders, when you kind of see their achievements and you see their passion, and also like, when you read like, about milestones of other companies, when you see like, someone has raised a lot of money, or like, they are selling to another company, then you kind of, feel like, okay, maybe I can do it too. So you definitely have this motivation. So I believe this is very inspirational. It's great. Like, we love it when we hear like, great news in the industry. So we feel like, we can do it too.
Absolutely. And it's great to hear all the success stories in the industry. Definitely very empowering and motivational as well. So thank you so much, Anna, for being with me today. It was great fun. If our listeners want to get in touch with you and Fighter Shot, where can they find you?
Well, LinkedIn, just as you found me on LinkedIn. So I'm always, very happy to interact with people that way. And obviously on our website, there is an email address that, we all, like the whole team reads. So we'll be also very happy to receive your emails.
Lovely. Thank you, Anna. And thank you everybody for listening.
Thank you very much.
I hope to see you in the next episode.